Organization is one of the most important things in all fronts when preparing for competition, from the way you pack your cooler, to the way you set your stations up, to the way you maintain that organization throughout the competition. One of the things that will guide you to success is an organized cart. How I set up my cart is from the bottom and I work to the top. The reason why I do this is as I pull stuff from the bottom and they get soiled or dirty, you just return them to the bottom of the cart, so that way you're not cross-contaminating between clean things on the top and dirty things on the bottom.
Now we'll talk about cart organization. There are many ways to organize a cart depending on your menu. As long as your method is lean and clean, it works for your team, it'll be sufficient. Remember, when packing each sheet pan, do it so you only have to take off the items that you need one at a time. It is a good practice to keep a list of what goes onto each sheet pan and print labels on the sides of each sheet pan so it's easily readable. You can organize a cart by course. Each sheet pan will contain the tools and dry goods needed for each phase or course. You can organize a cart by person. Sheet pans are packed with the tools and dry goods for each person or station. Build the cart from the bottom up if you so choose. You can use items that can be turned to the cart soiled without risk of cross-contamination. 2 people can work together on a single cart this way. This is a team competition and you should be focused on organization and teamwork. If your teammate pots or pans fit into yours, there's no reason why you can't stack them, share the sheet pan, and save space. Every time you practice, you should set up the cart the exact same way. You should get very comfortable with taking things on and off the cart in an efficient manner. Everything you use has to have a place for when it's done. Used water, oil, soiled equipment should be placed on your cart or under your table in a safe manner. Especially with a 4-man team and a small workspace, everything has to be systematic, planned out, look neat and efficient. Let's take a look at different setups for your sheet pans. On this sheet pan, we have all the necessary items for our knife cuts. Our cutting boards, knives, towels, containers. One person will be able to take this sheet pan and set up the entire cutting station. Conserve space on your cart. Stack smaller pots in larger ones. This may mean that these may be used by one of your teammates, but only take what you need off the cart. On the bottom tray, start with sanitation items. Sanitation solution and water. They always go on the bottom. This is important. During the setup phase, take those items, put them directly under the table and out of the way. That space now can be used for equipment or other items that need to be on the bottom of your cart during production. It is proper during transportation to wrap your knives in towels to allow your knives to stay sharp and avoid injury. Work with the person next to you and go through your timeline or order of production to see what equipment you are both using so you can help each other out. Remember, this is a team competition. Work together. As you look at your equipment, make sure you aren't using equipment that is too large. You are cooking for 2 portions, and this is not a lot of food. Smaller pots and pans will take up less room on your cart. Cook faster and will help you organize and fit into small areas. Here is an example of a well-organized sheet pan. Sharp items are wrapped with a towel. They're laid out appropriately, so easily to be seen and picked up, organized in a manner where you will use your checklist to make sure you didn't forget anything, and have a pan liner underneath to protect your items from scratching. Here is the pan that has been well organized and ready for cooking. Our knives have been unwrapped, pans, seasonings are all ready for this course. In this next section, you will see sheet pans with different types of setups. Remember, every setup is different for every team, for every menu. Just like you would have recipes or timelines, you want to have that
an equipment list or an equipment checklist drawn out just like you would on your timeline in a computer format. So that way, when you're practicing or when you're leaving or checking in for a competition, you can go through your list and check off each item. It's always a good idea that when preparing for a competition, you pack your equipment and your food the night before. That way, if you're missing any equipment or food products, you have ample time to address the situation. Throw your cooler in the refrigerator for 24 hours with the lid open so it gets nice and cold. So that way when you go to pack, you're already ahead of the game and you're not trying to fight a room temperature or a hot cooler. It could raise the temperature of your ingredients and make it harder for them to stay cold.
Another thing that'll help your organization is when you're dealing with your food, group that food product in boxes, in containers, in bags, together in the order you're going to be using it with the first things you need out at the top. You can also put in individual plastic boxes and containers so that they're grouped according to what course you're going to be using them on.
Show up for product check-in in full uniform and inform the judges that you're going to wash your hands first before you begin. Let's move on to our ice chest preparation. Fill Ziploc bags with ice to prevent leakage. Arrange the product in sealed containers surrounded by ice. Be sure to wrap each course separately to prevent spillage. Arranging by course is very helpful when unpacking. One way to ensure that your raw proteins stay at proper temperature is to place them in the ice chest first on the bottom. Place Ziploc bags filled with ice between each layer when packing your ice chest. This will ensure that each layer stays properly cooled. It is important to place a thermometer in the ice chest to monitor temperatures. This is very, very important. Place delicate items such as lettuces on the top of your cooler to prevent damage. Don't forget to tape the contents of your ice chest on the inside and outside of the lid. This is very helpful for the judges during check-in.
While you're working on your station, the entire tabletop should be very clean and neat, organized, nothing on top of the table that you're not actually working with. As a judge walks down the table and looks to see what everybody's doing, they shouldn't see anything on top of that table surface that's not actually being used at that moment. Sanitizer should be underneath the table, utensils that are not being used, pots that are not currently in use. Everything that you don't want to use at that time should be underneath so that the tabletop is as clean as possible.